Hello, welcome to Filmmaker Reactions. I am Leo Bolanos. I'm a filmmaker and a cinephile. In this channel, we're gonna be reviewing movies from the last 5 decades, especially those that I have never seen before. If you like this channel, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing. And if you find this channel interesting, please consider becoming a Patreon. The link to our Patreon page is below. I started my journey as a cinephile very young. During the 60s, I was 3 years old when I went to watch my very first movie to the movie theater. And believe it or not, I know what movie it was. It was A Million Years BC. And it was terrifying for me. I remember that my mom had to take me out of the theater because I was so scared. The violence of the movie, and it was very graphic, so I couldn't stand it. I was 3 years old. I was a baby. And after that experience, believe it or not, I still wanted to go back to the theater because for me it was like a magical place. So we went back, and I remember watching Disney movies. I remember watching Snow White. I remember watching Dumbo. I remember watching Pinocchio and all those wonderful Disney movies that we had during that period of time. Of course, those were older films. They were not premiere or new releases because they were much older than I was. But I think those were like re-releases, and my mother took me to watch them, me and my brother. So those were my first experiences with movies, and I was in love. It was a magical moment and a magical place to me, and I was engaged. We didn't watch movies at home because we had TV, of course, but my dad will watch sports and news. My mom will watch her soap operas, and I will watch my cartoons. I was a baby. So nobody watched movies at home. And the channels that play movies will play those old black and white classic Hollywood movies. And for me, they were really boring, again, because I was 3 or 4. So we didn't watch movies at home. The only time I had to really enjoy movies was going to the movie theater. And those were magical moments for me. That's where my fascination and my passion for movies began, and it has lasted a lifetime. During these 5 decades of watching movies, as you can imagine, I have watched thousands, literally thousands of movies, probably in the range of 3,000 to 4,000 movies. So as you can imagine, it's going to be difficult for me to find movies of those 5 decades that I have never seen before. Not that I have seen everything, of course, but we will center around the most iconic movies, the most important releases of those years. Nowadays it's going to be easier because the studios every month are releasing hundreds of good, major, iconic movies. So it's harder now for me to watch everything. But if we talk about the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was easier. You could go to the theater the entire week and watch all the iconic big productions, all of them. it was very rare that I didn't catch one of the good movies, one of the big movies. So I pretty much watched everything major during the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Most of it. But there are many iconic big movies that for one reason or other I didn't watch. I didn't catch. I missed some of the big releases, some of the iconic movies. For instance, during the 80s, I missed Flashdance. Believe it or not, I never watched that movie. Everybody I knew, my family, my friends, everybody went to watch Flashdance, but not me. I miss it. And later on, when uh, we had videotapes, VHS and beta, and later DVDs, I never got the chance for one reason or another to watch it. And I kept postponing it. Later on, we had Blu ray, and I was like, yeah, next month I want to watch it. Oh, I saw that Blu ray on the store. I'm going to get it next week. And so on and so forth. And I never got the chance to watch it. So this is just an example, but movies like that, I miss them. Believe it or not, I have never watched Roadhouse. Never. Yeah, don't kill me, but I've never watched it. And like those, I have other examples that I'm pretty sure people are gonna be like, how the hell you never watched that movie? But yeah, even when I watched thousands of movies, there are many that I missed. And in this channel, we're gonna act and review to those movies. And yes, Flashdance is on my list. So, we're gonna have videos like this when I'm gonna talk about what movies I didn't watch during different decades. We're gonna start with the 70s. The 70s is gonna be really interesting because many of the biggest, most iconic movies ever made were made on the 70s. And even when I watch most of them, most of the big ones, like Star Wars, Rocky, Superman, Close Encounters, all those great movies, there are some that for one or another reason I never watch. Mainly because I used to go to the theater to watch movies. But some of them were classified in such a manner that I wasn't allowed to go into the theater and watch them. I was too young. For instance, The Exorcist. There was no way I could enter to the theater with 10 or 11 years and watch The Exorcist. So I missed most of those movies for that reason. Of course, I watched them later on beta and VHS and DVD. But some of those, I never had the chance. And we're going to talk about those movies. Today we're going to talk about the 70s. And the 70s was really huge because some of the most iconic films ever made were made during the 70s. And those movies really changed everything. Those movies became the first blockbusters ever made. And for me, it was like a golden era for, for movies, for watching movies. And we're talking about the age of Jaws. We're talking about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We're talking about Of course, Star Wars. We're talking about Rocky, all those legendary movies that changed Hollywood as we knew it and were the precursors of the blockbusters that we enjoy today. So during the 70s, we had so many amazing movies. Of course, we got Star Wars, the movie that for me was a game changer. Star Wars became my favorite movie, I think, for the probably next 20 years. I was so impressed with Star Wars when I watched it on the theater that I begged my mom to take me back to watch it 3 times in the theater. And every time was like the first time. I was so in love and so impressed by Star Wars that it was mind blowing. Then, of course, we got Jaws, but unfortunately, I couldn't enter the theater due to my age, and they didn't allow me to watch it. So I had to wait many years to watch it on videotape, on beta. Yeah, I know. I was so pissed because I couldn't watch it. Of course, The Exorcist, impossible. I tried everything, and I'm happy that I didn't have the opportunity to watch it because I would had probably died in the theater. I was so scared when I watched it 10 years later that I know I would probably died if I watched it during the 70s. Thank God they didn't allow me to watch it. And I just had to mention, for me, The Exorcist is the greatest horror movie ever made. And believe me, I watched tons of horror movies, and nothing comes close to be so terrifying as The Exorcist. Nothing. Still today, it holds as the best and greatest horror movie ever made. Enter the Dragon, of course, I watched that on theaters, and it was mind blowing. I was a fan of Bruce Lee since then. Of course, we had Grease. I watched it on the theaters too. I wasn't very much attracted to musicals, but I was really entertained by this movie. I had to be older, I think maybe 10 years older, to really get everything that it was said in the movie, and all the adult uh, parts of the story that I didn't get when I was much younger. But I really enjoyed that movie. Oh, this was for me like a revelation. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Mind blowing. I was so astonished with that movie that Spielberg became my favorite director at that moment. We really have to talk about Close Encounters in more detail, but mind blowing. I went back to the theater and watched it 3 more times. Of course, Superman. Superman was my hero when I was a little kid. So watching Christopher Reeve become Superman was magical for me. Magical. I went back to the theater like probably 4 times to watch it again. Believe it or not, I didn't watch Smokey and the Bandit. It took me like 10 more years to watch it. But I think it was because of the age limit, the age limitation. I wasn't allowed to the theater to watch it. I think it was PG 13 or PG 15, probably. Godfather, same story. I was dying to watch that movie, but it was too violent for me. Also, it was classified as R, so there was no way. I had to wait like a decade to watch it on VHS. But the good side, the good part of that is that I got to watch the three movies in one go. So that was amazing. Saturday Night Fever, same story. I wasn't allowed into the theater to watch it, but I managed to watch it later on VHS. Amazing movie. Believe it or not, I have watched Rocky 2 160 times. Yes? 160 times. And there were some James Bond movies with Roger Moore that I loved. I did watch them. Then there was The Towering Inferno. I managed to get into the theaters to watch it because it was PG-13, and I was so impressed. Then we got The Sting. Believe it or not, it took me 20 years to watch The Sting. I missed that for the longest time, but I have seen it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This was the most terrifying movie that I watched during the 70s. Yeah. Even more than The Exorcist because, as I said, I didn't have the chance to watch The Exorcist when it came to theaters, but this one I managed to watch. Alien. Alien was one of the most terrifying things I ever watched. I was so scared in the theater that I was almost I almost left the theater. I was so scared. But at the same time, I was so impressed by the production design and the visuals that I stayed. And James Cameron, since then, became one of my top three directors. Yep, we have to talk more about Alien later. But I managed to watch that movie and it was mind blowing. And then probably the saddest movie that I watched in for the next 20 years. Yeah, I went to the theater and I watched Love Story with Ryan O'Neal and Ali McGraw. And I cried my eyes out during that movie. It was the saddest and the most beautiful thing I ever watched in a theater till that time. Oh my God. Trust me. It's one of the saddest things I ever watched in a movie theater. Oh yeah, we had to talk about that movie later also. But yeah, that's pretty much the movies that I watched and that I missed during the 70s. And now let's talk about the movies that I didn't watch during the 70s that I want to watch, that I missed. Okay, and here it is. Let's talk about this movie. Brian's Song from 1971. I hear many people talking about this movie during the 70s, but I never had the chance to watch it because I was too young to go into the theater to watch it. And later, when they played this movie on TV, for some reason or another, I kept missing it. I never had a chance to watch it. And when the videotapes came, and later DVDs, I would go to Blockbuster or any other rental chain, and I will see this box on the stands, and I kept postponing it. I was like, oh yeah, next week I'm gonna rent it. And later on, when it came to video, I will go to Blockbuster and see the box on the walls, and I was like, yeah, next week I'm gonna rent it. Next week. And I kept postponing it and postponing it, and I never did. Then came DVD, and I will go to the store and I will see that it was on sale, and it was maybe, I don't know, $3, $4, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it and watch it next week. And then I will come back and it was gone. So I never had the chance to watch it. And I don't think it's on streaming services. I don't know. I haven't checked. But yeah, Brian's Song is one of those movies that I was really intrigued about it. Never had a chance to watch it. And I recognize the actors that were on it, but never had a chance to watch it. And now is the time. So I'm gonna have Brian's Song on my polls. It's one of the candidates to be reviewed and reacted upon. And I want you guys to tell me if you want me to watch and react to this movie or Flashdance, which, as I said, I'm really intrigued because I never had a chance to watch it, and I really like the chick that was in the poster. I had a huge crush on that girl, but never watched the movie. I know the song. I even had the song on my playlist for many years, the main title song, but never watched the movie. So it's gonna be in the polls. Which one do you want me, guys, to watch? Brian's Song or Flashdance? You tell me. Please tell me in the comments down below, and I will watch it. Choose between Flashdance and Brian's Song, and let me know in the comments and in the polls which one do you want me to watch and review. And that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this brief tour for about my cinephile path and my never-ending love about movies. So please comment and let me know which one of those movies you want me to react and review, and I'll be happy to. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna be making more videos about my cinephile journey during the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, so on and so forth. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon, my movie warriors. Great coffee.